then they will stop their filibuster and this shutdown and let the negotiators get back to work. Everyone has figured this out. This shutdown was a political miscalculation of gargantuan proportions. But it doesn't need to go on any longer. It could stop today. So let's step back from the brink. Let's stop victimizing the American people and get back to work on their behalf.
Mr. President,
Minority Leader.
We now enter day 2 of the first real government shutdown ever to take place when one party controlled the presidency, the House, and the Senate. Under this unified control, it was the Republicans' job to govern. It was their job to lead. It was their job to reach out to us and come up with a compromise. They have failed. Our democracy was designed to run on compromise. The Senate was designed to run on compromise. We are no dictatorship subject to the whims of an executive, just as we're not a one-party system where the winner of an election gets to decide everything and the minority nothing. We are a government that can only operate if the majority party, the governing party, accepts and seeks compromise. The majority, however, has forgotten the lessons of the Founding Fathers. They have shown that they do not know how to compromise. Not only do they not consult us, they can't even get on the same page with their president from their own party. The congressional leaders tell me to negotiate with President Trump. President Trump tells me to figure it out with the congressional leaders. This political catch-22, never seen before, has driven our government to dysfunction. Americans know why the dysfunction is occurring. A dysfunctional president. Hence, we are in a Trump shutdown. And party leaders who won't act without him. It has created the chaos and the gridlock we find ourselves in today. It all really stems from the president, whose inability to clinch a deal has created the Trump shutdown. I agree with Majority Leader McConnell. The Trump shutdown was totally avoidable. President Trump walked away from not one, but 2 bipartisan deals. And that's after he walked away from an agreement in principle on DACA we reached way back in the fall of last year. If he had been willing to accept any one of these deals, we wouldn't be where we are today. On Friday, in the Oval Office, I made what I thought was a very generous offer to the president, the most generous offer yet. The president demanded for months that a deal on DACA include the wall. Most of we Democrats don't think the wall is effective. We think it's expensive and a waste of money. We're all for tough border security. But every expert will tell you that drones and sensory devices and roads and personnel are far more effective than the wall. But because the president campaigned on the wall, even though he said it'd be paid for by Mexico, and demands the wall for the sake of compromise, for the sake of coming together, I offered it. Despite what some people are saying on TV, and mind you, these are folks not in the room during discussion, that is exactly what happened. The president picked a number for a wall. I accepted it. Wasn't my number. Wasn't the number in the bills here. He picked it. Now, it would be hard to imagine such a more reasonable compromise. All along, the president's saying, well, I'll do DACA and Dreamers in return for the wall. He's got it. Can't take yes for an answer. That's why we're here. And we don't have anyone in the White House or here in the Senate, in the House, Republicans of the president's own party, to tell him he's got to straighten this whole thing out. He can't say yes one minute and no the next, 3, 4, 5 times. The bottom line is this. It would be hard to imagine a much more reasonable compromise. I was, in principle, agreeing to help the president to get his signature campaign promise, something Democrats and Republicans on the Hill staunchly oppose, in exchange for DACA, a group of people the president said he has great love for. I essentially agreed to give the president something he has said he wants in exchange for something we both want. But only hours after he seemed to being very open, very eager about that generous, tentative agreement, and it was only tentative, there's no handshakes, he backed away from the last best chance to avoid a shutdown. That's why from one corner of America, this is being called the Trump shutdown. It's trending all over. People from one end of the country to the other know it's the Trump shutdown, and they know why. They've seen what the president has done. It's a direct result of a president who has been proved unwilling to compromise and is thus unable to govern. The deal wasn't everything the president wanted. It certainly wasn't everything we wanted. What it was compromise, something nobody loved, but everyone could live with, something good for the country. It would have staved off a government shutdown on Friday. It could still reopen the government today. So, Mr. President, I'm willing to seal the deal, to sit and work right now with the president or anyone he designates. Let's get it done. Meanwhile, the Republican leader would have you believe we Democrats forced the shutdown. He first forgets that several members of his own party voted against the CR. Are they holding the government hostage over illegal immigration? No, doesn't seem that way. The Republican leader accuses Democrats of holding up pay for our troops. I heard Speaker Ryan blame the Senate on TV. But yesterday, Mr. President, Senator McCaskill offered a motion to make sure our military gets paid, and the majority leader himself objected. The majority leader prevented the troops from getting paid, because this would have passed in a minute. Speaker Ryan should talk to Leader McConnell, who's the only person in the U.S. Senate standing in the way of paying our troops, not anybody here. We don't want to use the troops as hostages. Unfortunately, some on the other side may be doing just that. We could make sure our troops get paid right now if the majority leader would only consent. Or if there's pride of authorship, let him offer the resolution. We won't block it. We'll applaud it. I hope it can happen as soon as possible. The Republican leader also accuses Democrats of blocking CHIP, when he full well knows that every Democrat here supports extending CHIP. It's 4 months lapsed. Who let that happen? The Republican majority. A Democratic majority would never have allowed CHIP to expire. Now, just because it was placed on a CR that was a bad idea for so many reasons, Republicans want to pretend that they're advocates of CHIP. Quite the contrary. They were using the 10 million kids on CHIP, holding them as hostage for the 800,000 kids who are dreamers. Kids against kids, innocent kids against innocent kids. That's no way to operate in this country. So, again, a party that controls the House, the Senate, and the presidency would rather sit back and point fingers of blame than roll up their sleeves and govern. The way out of this is simple. Our parties are very close on all of the issues we've been debating for months now. So close, I believed we might have a deal twice, only for the president to change his mind and walk away. The president must take yes for an answer. Until he does, it's the Trump shutdown. He has said he has a love for dreamers. Let him show it. He said he needs a wall and border security. Accept our offer to do both of those things, because we Democrats, while we think the wall will not accomplish very much and cost a lot of money, we strongly believe in border security and have fully supported the president's offer or budget proposal on border security for this year. So, this is the Trump shutdown. Only President Trump can end it. We Democrats are at the table, ready to negotiate. The president needs to pull up a chair and end this shutdown.